Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. There were two scenarios the last month that shocked me. Both were in family-owned establishments and both have a target market of families with young children. While I was in these places, I saw employees that were wearing pajamas to work, they were smoking inside, and they were using colorful language out on the floor in front of their clients and customers. And maybe you're thinking, Kaylee, it's not that big of a deal, stop being judgmental. But I've worked in retail, food, hospitality, corporate, and in all of those settings, I could not imagine showing up to work in that way or acting that way in front of customers. So I witnessed these two scenarios, and then I also saw a video talking about how white women are able to be grosser than women of color because white women are always perceived as the standard of beauty. And I thought that video was really interesting because they were talking about how people like Tana Mojo and Emma Chamberlain, when they were younger, could exist, and they were burping and farting and not taking care of themselves on camera. But then women of color could never be okay with that standard because people would call them gross or disgusting, or they wouldn't be able to have the opportunities that these other two ladies had. And these two scenarios got me thinking about how much has changed in the last 3 years, both in the workplace, but also just in a general sense of living in the United States. There used to be a standard for how we presented ourselves, and there doesn't seem to be one anymore. And I have to believe that it's due to being at home for an extended period of time, places being short-staffed, so there's no consequences, and probably the fact that we're all really spread thin with everything we're doing every single day, so we don't want to make another decision regarding our appearance or how we act. And since most glow up videos show you $400 hair appointments and acrylic appointments every other week and a really unattainable lifestyle, I thought it would be helpful to create a video talking about how we can present ourselves in an elevated way that takes almost no money and no time. So this is my starting point. I just got out of bed. I threw on a sweatshirt and leggings. My nails are looking how they look. I don't have makeup, I don't have hair done, and we're gonna get into all of it. The first area of improvement is basic hygiene. Now you might think that this is just a 13-year-old boy's issue, but I actually think there are a lot of adults who struggle to keep up with this. And whether that be due to being spread thin emotionally or having depression or just feeling like there's no time to give attention to the things you want to give attention to, there are basic things that need to be done every single day for you to be a functioning adult in society. Now this can come out a couple different ways. For some people, it's just basic, better dental hygiene. How many of us lie to our dentists about flossing, especially in this day and age when we eat things that have really high amounts of sugar? You want to keep on top of that. And then there's the smell factor. Some of us sweat when we sleep, other people work out in the mornings, but we need to be aware of how we're smelling when we're entering a workplace or we are interacting with other people. If you can do a full shower, that's obviously the ideal, but not everybody can do that, especially someone like a new mom in postpartum is not going to have time to do a shower in that season every single day. So having wipes to wipe down your body, or deodorant, or having a lotion or a perfume that smells really nice, just to have a pleasant aroma around you would be beneficial. And this also translates into things like shaving. So a lot of people don't like to shave in other countries. I know women don't shave their armpits or their legs, and that's fine, that works for them. But being able to keep up with the smell that comes with having body hair, just like men have to do, is really important. You don't have to agree with me on the shaving point and being clean shaven, but that also plays into the smell factor. If you are somebody who shaves, or you are someone who lives in a really dry climate, being moisturized is a really big deal. I think a lot of people believe that you have to have this 10-step skincare routine to look presentable out in public and have beautiful, youthful skin. But a lot of times it is just as simple as a moisturizer with SPF built in, or making sure that our legs and our elbows and arms are lotioned. I know my friends that are women of color talk about this a lot, and they have to keep on top of that. So I think sometimes white women fail in this way. Something to be mindful of in regards to skincare as well is that your skin is the biggest organ in your body. So what you are putting on your skin is incredibly important. So whether that is hormone disruptors in your perfume from fragrance, or something in your skincare that is causing you to break out, or even things like dryer sheets and laundry detergent can cause rashes, can cause reactions. So being really aware of what you're using in your products also plays into the overall health and presentation of your body. This can also play into things like smoking and drinking, consuming a lot of sugar. Everything we're putting into our body ultimately comes out of our body in some way, whether that is in the restroom or in your face and your skin. So we need to be mindful of what we are giving to our bodies as well. A huge piece of this puzzle that a lot of people don't consider, and I didn't consider till I started going more on a health journey the last 6 months, is your intake of caffeine. Now, am I saying coffee is bad? No. But a lot of people substitute caffeine into their lives in a very unhealthy way. So they might not have a drinking problem or a smoking problem, but they are constantly consuming some form of energy drinks or coffee drinks or sugar to try and just stay at a basic level of energy. And I personally feel like that is really bad for us. I do wonder the effects that it has on not only our brains, but our bodies overall. And I don't think that there is enough research being done on this topic. I've seen a lot of friends cut out at least half or more of the caffeine that they were drinking every day and feeling naturally more energized and better. Next up is hair care. And as I said at the beginning, we're not going to talk about a $400 hair appointment with extensions and highlights and all of that, because an average person is not affording that, especially in this economy in the United States right now. So what can you do to keep up with good hair care? One thing is, if you are like me, I have thick hair, so I get dry scalp. So using an oil once a week to keep your scalp hydrated, using conditioner. So just making sure that your scalp overall is healthy is gonna help with about 90% of the problems regarding your hair. Whether it's too dry, too oily, the scalp is the start of it. So being able to determine if something needs to have more oil, less oil, how can you aid your scalp in producing the most healthy type of hair? This can also go for heat tools and products of that sort, not putting so much heat on your hair, letting it go more natural. That leads me to a discussion on hairstyles. Now, I know that women of all backgrounds watch my channel, so you might be a woman of color, you might be African American, and you're trying to do protective styles, you're doing weaves, you're doing wigs. You might be an Asian woman who has more silky, fine hair and you can't keep your hair up in ponytails or braids as easily. You might be a white woman who has thick, curly hair and you don't see that represented a lot if you're like me, and so you don't really know what type of hairstyles to do. I think no matter what you do, whether it is fully styling your hair and leaving it down, whether it's getting it chemically straightened or relaxed, whether it is doing a braid or a tight ponytail or half up, half down, whatever your vibe is, my point is just more so that we are intentional about how we present ourselves regarding our hair. And that's not to say that one hair type is prettier than another. I know that that is a discussion in especially the Black community, and that's not what I'm talking about. If you want to wear an afro, do it, girl. I don't care. You want to wear cornrows? I fully encourage you to do it. Because whether you have oily, unwashed, or dry, crispy hair, if you're putting your hair up in a messy bun and you're never really brushing it out or caring for it, it does reflect on how people perceive you. And I would say that this again is not for someone who's in like a postpartum season or somebody who's going through a really hard time. When we were in the midst of shutting down and being at home, that was acceptable because we were at home with our family. We weren't going to see anybody. We're not presenting ourselves before the public. But now we're not in that scenario anymore. So we need to think about how we mindfully present ourselves. So for me, a lot of the time, I will do 2 braids and then I will let them down and I will get wavy hair like this. Sometimes I'll let my curly hair go and I'll do a half up, half down style. There are ways to do hair that doesn't involve you doing 30 minutes of styling every single day. I think a small detail that is often overlooked in our appearance is our nails. So as I showed you earlier, my nails are not looking their best, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to go get really expensive acrylics or do fills or get my toes done. Sometimes it's just as simple as making sure the overall health of your nails without nail polish looks good, looks healthy, that you're caring for your cuticles, that you're caring for the shape of your nails, that if you have a hangnail that you're cutting it off. And that might seem like a no-brainer, But there are a lot of people who have jobs where they can't paint their nails, but their nails themselves look really bad or they're chewing them. I know I dealt with that for so many years where I would chew my nails because I was so anxious. And the last 6 months I've broken that habit, and I'm really grateful I have, because it just looked really icky. So getting down to that literal root problem of why you're chewing your nails, of why you're chewing your cuticles, of why you have all these nervous tics is gonna help with your appearance as well. And then if you have the time to paint your nails, making sure your fingernails and your toes look good and getting them shaped and getting a color that isn't too out of the box, especially for a work scenario. Like get a color that's out of the box for a celebration or a vacation or a birthday. The final piece of this that I wanted to talk about is how we present ourselves with our clothing. So again, there is no problem with being comfortable. I love being comfortable, but that means that I don't need to wear ratty, torn up, stained clothing everywhere that I go just for the sake of comfort. There are so many options right now to stay comfortable and still look nice. A go-to that I tell everybody about is a blue or black pair of jeans, a white shirt, and a fun jacket and sneakers. That is comfortable. If you don't like jeans, you can do leggings, but don't do like see-through leggings. Don't do holographic space astrology leggings. Just have a basic black, brown, gray, blue legging that looks really good on you. In the summer, this can also go for bike shorts or longer shorts that cover everything and are not too tight. I think that's another thing I see a lot is either see-through fabrics that aren't thick enough to be worn outside, or seeing people that are wearing sizes that are too small. Let me just tell you this right now, okay? No matter what, nobody will know your size. So if you have to size up, if you usually wear a small and you have to get a medium, no one out here knows that you're wearing a medium. And it's gonna look so much better if you do not have camel toe and you do not have your butt cheeks out. I'm just telling you now, present yourself in a way where you have pride in how things fit. If you want to be a little more elevated or you live in a colder climate, obviously something like a nice sweater and jeans and a low-heeled boot if you're walking around all the time or standing. Another really easy thing would be something like a jumpsuit, a comfortable jumpsuit that's stretchy that you can sit and walk and move and function in, or having something like a dress that's longer that you don't have to worry about flashing people and is truly comfortable to live and exist in. You don't have to look like a 1950s housewife. You just are wearing a dress that you like. So let's say none of that is your vibe. You don't like wearing a dress, the jumpsuits don't fit you right, you don't enjoy jeans, you only want to wear a sports bra because that's comfortable, and you don't have a lot of time to think about what you're wearing, so you just throw on athleisure. There are so many athleisure brands the last 3 years that you can choose from, and it always bothers me when I see people show up in ratty old clothes, and I just think there are so many cheap, sustainable, ethical options for athleisure sweat sets, cute little clothing sets that you can wear that really take no brain power and make you look better and more presentable without having to break the bank or dress really fancy or go out of your comfort zone. A final way that we present ourselves that many people do not think about is the way that we speak. And I know I'm gonna sound like a baby boomer when I say this, but there is something to presenting ourselves in a way that sounds educated, that is well thought out and intentional, and doesn't include colorful language. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Christian who's a prude. I'm saying that because there really is something to it where you get more respect if you don't speak a certain way. And it's alarming to me that I have now been to 2 places where workers in both of these family-owned establishments said the F word in front of customers and clients. I just think that that is a word that shouldn't be used in everyday language. And I think also it's one thing if you are caught off guard. You're driving and you have to slam on your brakes or something happens like that and the word slips out. I totally get that. Even in a conversation, if you want to make a point about something and you want to emphasize something and you use that word, I can totally let that go. But I think there's something about somebody just freely speaking that way and feeling like they have the ability to speak that way, whether it is at work or with a friend in a social setting, or even more importantly, when I go to restaurants, I cannot tell you how many times I'm sitting at a booth and there will be a family here, and on the other side are 20-year-olds who are, every other word is a swear word. And I just think, let's have some mindfulness of families and the language that they want for their children. No, you're not that kid's parent. You're not influencing them in a direct way. But the way that we speak, we need to be mindful, and we need to have a filter around kids. I think that that's just a simple way to show respect to other people. And I think it's ridiculous that we are at a place in society where I scroll TikTok and every podcast clip that I see has people saying any amount of colorful language consistently, as if it's the word like, or as if it's the word and it's just so simply put into things. And I think that is an outcome of being at home for so many months, speaking how you want to speak in your home, and now bringing that into your workplace, into your social times, into public spaces. And I just don't think that that is appropriate. I think also being mindful of what we say to people and how we treat them regarding our language is really important. The way that we can uplift or tear down people is really blatant on social media, but it's now kind of translating into real life too. I see so many people who have road rage, who yell at each other. I see people who flip each other off. I see people who interact in really harsh, defensive ways consistently. And I think that maybe also comes from what we see on television a lot. A lot of reality TV is really defensive, and it's a lot of fighting, and it's a lot of name calling, and we think that that is an appropriate way to act with other people. Being calm and handling things in a way that is communicative and intelligent and intuitive with other people is going to resolve a lot of issues that could escalate. With that too is your tone of voice, how you approach people, how you speak to them, the tone in which you give them. If you start with an attitude, that's really not a good way to start anything, and it's not going to be productive in a conversation. All in all, I think that a lot of the things that I mentioned today are small changes that can happen over time. And as we're going into 2024 and we're thinking about our goals for the next year and adapting and growing and becoming better people, I think that these are small, tiny changes that we can bring into our routines that will really benefit the way that we present ourselves to others. With all of that being said, I also want to clarify that not everything is about what other people think about you. That's not my goal of this video. My goal is more so trying to counteract something that I'm seeing in society that when I travel internationally, I do not see. In European countries, people are dressing nicely, and they're not fancy, but they're put together, and they're mindful of how they present themselves. And I think this also goes for guys too. I know I speak a lot to women because that's who a majority of my following is. But I do think for guys, there's a lot of ways that you can step up your presentation of yourself, whether that is trying to work on combating hair loss or trying to keep better hygiene. Guys are really bad with this. They burp and they fart in front of women and they cuss. And I think that we just need to have a higher standard for men in our lives too. I think also the way that men dress, a lot of them wear shirts that they've had since high school. And although I am a sustainability lover, I think that we can elevate and we can help men stand up and be like a little more adult, a little more mature, and present themselves better and have pride when they go to work or they hang out with other guys. And what I found in my experience is that when I do put a little more effort into how I'm looking when I go out into the world, the response that I get is more respect. The response that I get is people acknowledging that what I'm wearing looks really nice. They do notice that I keep myself looking very good out in public. And in a couple of different scenarios too, I've had people actually joke about how I need to tone down how I dress or how I present myself because it's making other people look bad. But how I take that is that I am actually influencing and inspiring people to have higher standards for themselves and for the people around them. And I actually think it's a good thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that these were easy, relatable, approachable steps that you can take. I would love to hear your feedback in the comments and how this looks for you. And we all are in different life stages. We all are going through different seasons of busyness or slowness. So this may look really different for the time that you have during the day to make these changes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.